Hello everybody, I'm Kathleen Hawkins, your proud president and founder of WOAMTEC. I am so excited about today's show. We have some amazing guests on WOAMTEC Live, and we're just eager and anxious to share with you, to help educate you, to help inspire you, to help motivate you, but most of all to help you become the best that you can be. We realize here at WOAMTEC that your success is our success, and we can't achieve our goals if you're not achieving yours. So we want to continue to provide you with the tools and the motivation and the education that you need to grow. And who better to start with by doing that with the fabulous Dawn Pici. She is an amazing WOAMTEC member. She has spoken at our previous conferences. She's trained and lectured and educated so many of our members across the United States, and we're just excited to have her on today's show, and I know you're going to benefit from listening to her. So now please welcome Dawn Pici to the set. Thank you, Dawn, so much for being here.
It is so great to be here, Kathleen.
Yay, well, I know you've been here before, but every time I'm in your presence, I'm learning something new. So I knew that today would be a great segment and a great way that you can help so many of our WOAMTEC members. So first, for those that don't know who you are or may not have seen you at one of our events or on WOAMTEC, tell everybody who you are and a little bit about Pici and Pici.
Okay. Well, I'm Dawn Pici, and at Pici and Pici, we help companies and individuals gain an unfair advantage over their competition. And that's something we all want. But how do we do it? Well, we help you to increase your closing ratios, we help you to lock in that client loyalty, and we help you to gain quality referrals and leads, which is one of the things that you do so well at WOAMTEC.
Well, thank you. And I didn't pay her to say that. That's pretty exciting. You know, I know that you've worked with a lot of our members, and we have members that are in direct sales, we have members that own their own business, we have members that work for other companies, and I think that regardless of what they do specifically, a lot of what you teach can benefit anybody. And if you're sitting here watching today saying, oh no, I'm not in sales, I don't want to listen to this presentation, trust me, if you're in business for yourself, you're in business to sell. You are in business to make money. So anybody that's in business to make money should pay attention to this presentation. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, you had mentioned, because you do so much work with direct salespeople. First, define what a direct salesperson is.
You know, direct sales is an industry, and we call it the poor man's franchise. All right. Direct sales is a business that I can get into, and I can be in business for myself, but I'm not by myself. So that I'm a distributor for a company. I'm distributing product, I'm distributing a service, but I'm still in business for myself. And of course, there's been a lot of, you know, misinformation about direct sales because there's been some unscrupulous companies and people that have gotten involved, but there is still some quality companies out there, and most of them are very, very good with great compensation plans.
Okay, and you can make a lot of money at it, because I know you personally have been in the direct sales industry. Tell everybody about that.
Well, what happened was I was broke. I sang opera. Yes, you know, if you want to make money, don't sing opera, but for a living. But I sang opera, and my husband was a football coach, and we needed to find a way to put food into our children's mouths, and what we were doing wasn't doing that terribly well, and we got into a direct sales company, knowing nothing about sales, and managed to turn that into a six-figure residual income. We retired from that, but we live off those residuals today, and that's really what you want to do in direct sales. From there, we transitioned, and we said, well, the skills that we have, do they have any marketability in the regular, what I call the real world of business? And what we found out was absolutely. And so then we put together our sales training firm, where we do both sales training and performance management. And with that, we built that to a six-figure income, and we teach other people how to do that as well.
That's awesome, and I know you work with a lot of speakers. So if you're a speaker out there and you want to learn how do you make money at speaking, I know I just talked to somebody the other day that they decided they were broke. Okay, they're not making a whole lot of money, so they decided that they wanted to write a book, and they wrote a book and they self-published it. Well, I've written 9 books. You've written books. We know that you can write a book, and it may make you feel better about yourself being broke, but you got to have a plan to sell it and to make money, and you have to know how to get in front of people and speak to have that product to deliver. So, you know, if you're out there and you're broke and you're not sure what to do, don't just grab the first thing that validates you as an individual. Take a look at what your options may be. And so many people that are in that situation do lean on direct sales because they can't find a corporate job. They're not making money as an entrepreneur. And so somebody says, hey, you know, you can win $1 million and go to Tahiti and drive a free car. That all sounds good to someone that's broke, you know.
Exactly.
But you have to work at it. It's not something that's easy. So what are some of the things that you have found hinder the success of somebody that's, I don't even want to say direct sales, somebody that's in
sales.
sales.
Anybody who's in sales. Well, there's a couple of things that I have seen over the course of 20 years, whether in direct sales or traditional business, that will absolutely ensure that you will fail. And the first one is to be busy. Now, be busy, but not necessarily productive.
Amen.
You know, clients come to me and they'll say to me, well, Dawn, you know, I can't figure out what's going on. I'm working, you know. I said, well, how much time of this is productive? Because there's only 3 things that are going to make you money in business. Either you're selling a product, you're bringing somebody into a business relationship with you, whether it's direct sales, you're bringing in team members, or you're instructing people that you work with how to do those things.
Right.
That's it. And what happens is people, what I find with my clients is they go out on social media because you need to be out there.
Right.
You need to give, you know, have some, you know, followers on Facebook and LinkedIn. And then, you know, you pin and you post and then squirrel. I mean, you shot the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so how much of your social media time is going to be productive? And we've got some great speakers here that are going to be towards the end of our program today who are really going to talk to you about productive social media. So you stick with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing it. And you're exactly right, because all too often people will, whether you're writing a book or a blog, that they'll say, I'm working, and they'll sit there and they'll be working feverishly. And they're avoiding the phone calls because they're fear of rejection. You know, they're avoiding reaching out and meeting a new contact. You know, they're avoiding all the things that they really need to do that are revenue generating for their business. So I'm so glad you said that. Now, what is something else that you have found?
Well, you were just talking about revenue.
Okay.
I think a lot of people who are in business don't know how much it's costing them to be in business. You know, and so they end up spending more than they're making. You know, they jump into a business and it's so scary because the average business does not make it 5 years. In fact, I think it's something like 20% of all businesses will not see their second birthday.
Wow.
And it's just because I don't know where every dollar is going. How much money am I spending on these products and sample products and you know, my time and the people that are working with me and gas and all that? You've got to get a handle on that. You've got to be a good business person because, see, people, they might be an engineer and they might be the best engineer ever. But the problem is that, yeah, they know engineering, but they don't know how to have a business as an engineer. So they don't know how to run the business side. And that's one of the things that you were talking about, our speaking business. Mm-hmm. When, you know, people at our speaking school, we don't teach people how to speak. We teach them how to make money at it and how to be a business owner. And that's the critical part. So not spending more than you're making and waking up one day and you've got all this credit card debt and you don't know where it went and you go, well, I guess this isn't going to work for me.
Absolutely. And that's definitely something that I see happening all the time. So it really doesn't even matter your level of education. I consulted with an attorney the other day that was doing the exact same things, chiropractor the other day that was doing the exact same things. And what I like to teach people is it's really important with your finances anyways to have such a strong hold on it when your business is little that you can handle it when your business is big, because a lot of people wait. You know, they're not using QuickBooks because there's so few transactions I can do them in my head or I can do them on an Excel spreadsheet. That's not thinking like a business owner. And what you think about, you bring about a lot of times in life and in success. So thank you. Great point.
And we've got so many people in WOAMTEC that do bookkeeping that can come along beside you and help you with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I know that the other thing that you had mentioned is you were talking about the people that you invest in, you know, the people that you surround yourself. What tidbit or advice do you have for us with that?
You know, don't invest in Dracula. You know, the Dracula, the people that suck the life out of you. You know, it's really interesting because, especially in direct sales, I want to talk about, because so many times you can waste your time with the wrong people. How do I know the real people from the imposters? And this is something that when I sit with my coaching clients, I sit with them and I'll say, well, how many people are in your organization? And they might say something, well, I've got 25. I've got 25 whole people. I said, really? How many people were at your last upline event? 4. Well, then there's only 4 in your organization. And this is, if you will understand this, this is gold, because you cannot spend time with people who are not willing to invest in themselves. And, and so many times I'll hear, well, she couldn't find a babysitter, or she couldn't find, I said, you know what, if you gave this person 2 tickets to the Super Bowl and it was on the dark side of the moon, they would get off of work, they would find place for their kids. If it's not important enough for them to be at that event, then it's not important enough for you to give your time to spend with it, which means, also.
Absolutely.
Well, just a minute. Kathleen, pretend I'm not talking. I want to talk about the Confident Women Conference.
Oh.
And the reason why I want to do that is Kathleen has planned this incredible event, a 2-day event, all kinds of speakers. And some of you are sitting there and going, I don't know if I really want to go. Are you crazy? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
You're allowed to say, I didn't prepare to say that. I don't have any control of this conversation right now.
But it is so critical that you go to an event like this. This is inexpensive, and it is how you can, all these different speakers are there to give you some of these skills that you need to be successful. And of course, the networking is going to be unbelievable. We can meet people from all over the country. There's absolutely no reason not to be there unless you're not serious about business. But if you're serious about business and you're serious about success in 2014, you really need to drop everything and be at the Confident Women Conference in April.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for saying that. And,
it's important.
And I completely agree. For as little as $49, as much as $99 to have access to that wealth of knowledge and the education and the training, the people that attended the 2-day program last year, the testimonials were unbelievable. I know you'll be there, and I know you're very successful. So if you're willing to take the time out of your schedule to be there, that says something about it. So I appreciate you for saying that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the energy drainers, or the vampires, as you call them, because it doesn't matter if it is your downline, if you're in direct sales, but I do see this quite often with businesses or with people that are in sales. And it could be that photographer, or that accountant, or that chiropractor that I mentioned, that they're trying to reach goals that are so audacious, and they're trying to reach these goals with too few leads. So the same principle goes into effect when you're looking at, if you have 1,000 people in constant contact, but you're only engaged in playing tennis or ping pong back and forth with 20 people, you don't have 1,000 customers. You've lost a lot of customers, and you can't reach certain goals unless you work your numbers as far as customers are concerned, because that's how you're going to come up with your annual percentages. That's how you're going to be able to budget and forecast and do things like that. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate it.
There's another angle to this too. There's a lot of negative people out there. There's people, sometimes we get into business and there's the naysayers around us that we can't possibly do this. Who do you think you are? And some of them are in our family. And we have to shut that off. We have to shut that off. And one of the things I tell people to do is go on a diet. Go on a diet of what you allow to go in your brain. Put in positive every day. Read out of a positive book or a skill-based book at least 15 minutes a day. I don't care what your industry is. And one of the books I love, and I don't sell it, I don't make a dime off of it, but there's a book, The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews. If you can get that, and especially pick it up on CD, because he does his own narration, and it is charming to listen to. He gives 7 principles for success in story form. You're going to love it, but you've got to put in the positive, because our world is full of so much negative. There's so many people around us
that can just drain you. And we all know it. We all know people when we go to meetings and we go to events or we deal with customers that you just leave and you feel like, oh my gosh, I need a glass of wine, or I need to go to bed, or I need something, because they just take so much out of you that you do have to refuel. And I think it's important too to take time. I've started running every day, and I'm amazed at how taking that time for myself, because I wasn't doing it, gives me time to get mental clarity, gives me time to talk to the Lord, gives me time to just focus on just giving myself that chance to refuel myself, which I think is really important. So knowing when to do that, and knowing when you need to separate, from the world, which is important. Now, you also talked about charismatic people.
Yes, charismatic people.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, sometimes we get into business and we think, I'll be successful, or I have to be charismatic to be successful. Or like, for instance, in a WOAMTEC event. Well, sometimes people hold back from doing networking because they feel like, I'm not an outgoing person. I'm not, and so does that mean that only the outgoing people of the world can be successful? And of course, that's not true. Because business success, networking success, is a series of skills. It is skill-based. And Zig Ziglar said, anything that is a skill can be learned. And so when I think about this, so often, and I see this in direct sales, I see this in networking, I see this in all kinds of arenas where somebody gets involved in a business and people just want to follow them. But then what do the people who are following them do? Because charisma is not duplicatable. And especially if I'm going to be any kind of a franchise business or any kind of business where I want it to operate without me at some point in time. You want your kids to eventually take over WOAMTEC. We all want things to kind of operate without us. We have to have something more than charisma. Directors in WOAMTEC, to build your groups, you need skills, all right, because it's these skills, people skills, skills in being able to generate leads, to be able to talk to people. These are the skills that are critical, and that's what I talk about in my CDs.
Oh, well, perfect. Well, tell
CDs.
us about the CD. Because I think you're giving one of those away, right? Prize 3 keys. Is that the CD?
No, that's different. No, we have 3 keys. What we're giving away is if you go to our website, PiciandPici.com, spelled P-I-C-I, A-N-D-P-I-C-I, you can get our 3 keys for building relationships and for building rapport. And this is a free online course, and you can take that, and it will really help you, especially as WOAMTEC members. If you've ever gone to a meeting and you feel like, I feel a little uncomfortable here, how do I do this? How do I, and after I get somebody's business card, what do I do with it? How do I start to build that relationship? 3 keys for building rapport will help you with that.
And you don't have to be a winner for that. Anybody that goes to your website that does that can get that. Okay.
Anybody.
Tanya, note to self, download that on our website because I want to read it. I'm excited about that. So thank you so much for sharing that. I know that you share a lot. But let's talk about those people that are around the United States that want to connect with Dawn. I know that she does do coaching and training and consulting and can work with you in different ways. But I also wanted to mention your product. So tell us about your CD.
Well, this is a 6-pack CD pack on success in direct sales. So often people get into direct sales and they crash and burn before they gain the skills necessary to be successful. And this is going to talk about how to work a list. So you have that list, but I want to make the most of it. How do I make the most of the list, and how do I help people in my organization make the most of their list? I share the daily dozen for success in direct sales. It's a 6 CD pack. It's $149 on our site, but for WOAMTEC members, you can get this for $129, and that's tax, shipping, everything. All right, so that's your deal here today. But also, I do some private coaching. I mean, at Pici Pici, we do on-site sales training to your company, but you can also come to us for a 3-day boot camp. Okay, we have one coming up at the end of March, March 24th, 25th, 26th. And that's 3 intense days. And on day 3, we do something very unique. We get you on the phone with your prospects, and we coach you live so that you can get appointments on the phone. And we get an 80 to 90% success rate for booking appointments on the phone in there.
I think that's awesome, because if you can learn how to book a phone appointment and how to cultivate new leads via the telephone, and you're not hiding behind Facebook, and you're not hiding behind Constant Contact and all those things, you're actually communicating. Everyone communicates, few people connect. So if you can teach them how to connect, that's where you're going to be a game changer and really make a difference. Now, I'm also a big fan of her speaker boot camp. So I know you have a speaker boot camp coming up.
Absolutely.
Because so many people like to be on stage, it's all about me, but they don't have a clue what to do with that information, and they may get an opportunity, but they may lose that opportunity because they don't know how to seize it. They don't know how to take advantage of it.
Well, and what makes ours unique is in most speaker boot camps, they're teaching you how to speak. We're not teaching you how to speak. We're teaching you how to make money at speaking. How do you put on your own events without losing your shirt? How do you negotiate? What are the 6 main funnels of income that you can gain from the speaking and training industry? How do you go after each one of those? So it is a soup to nuts program, and again, it's a 3-day program on the 27th, 28th, and 29th of March this month here in Orlando. But we also do these on private coachings.
Okay.
So you can come to us for a 1 or 2-day coaching, because a lot of folks, they have to work this out, and of course Orlando's a great place to come to on vacation.
Absolutely.
But I have a special because folks like my private coaching, and I do this for businesses, but I also do this for individuals in the direct sales business. And I have a $1,300 coaching package that I'm going to offer, but I can only offer 5 spots because that's all I have left in my time, for only $500.
That's awesome.
So, and that gives you 4 hours with me face to face, either Skype or in person, or and then we follow up with phone calls.
I love that because you and I have talked about this, and one of my biggest pet peeves in this world is unemployed people calling themselves marketing or sales consultants or business consultants just because they're good at sales, or if they were really good, they'd probably not be unemployed though. So that kind of defeats that purpose. But it's one of my big pet peeves because I talk to people all the time that really don't have a lot of business knowledge, have never built $1 million business, and they don't really have all of these different things, but yet they're giving other people advice. And what I have learned to spot is a couple of different things. The fact that you're willing to give your heart and your time for, what did you say, 4 hours or 5 hours?
4 hours face to face, and then another hour and a half on the phone.
Okay, so 5.5 hours of your time for $500. That's very realistic. That's very reasonable. That's very generous, and that shows your heart. And that also shows that you are successful enough that you can make that offer to 5 people. Where if you have a consultant that's out there that wants to quote you $5,000 for 4 hours of webinar time via Skype, there could be a red flag there. There could be a red flag that you might want to think twice before signing that check. I see people do this all the time. And it's like, oh, did you even ask for their resume, or did you look at their bio? Because I care about your success, and I don't want to see you putting money someplace that you don't need to. Dawn, I can tell you, you will get your money's worth. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. It was a pleasure to have you as always. I have one last final question to ask you. Okay, one of the things I hear most frequently when talking to self-employed people, entrepreneurs, working moms from home, different things like that, that they love the most about their job is freedom and flexibility. What does that tell you? What does that mean to you? If you're sitting there saying, I love my job, I love the freedom and the flexibility, and I just don't understand why things aren't coming together, can you give them any advice?
Well, when you're in business for yourself, you get to choose the 20 hours a day you get to work. If you're going to be in business for yourself and you're going to make it successful, so many times people say to me, well, Dawn, you're always out there. You're always training here. You're doing this. We work 24/7, all right? Our offices are in our home, and most people say, well, we have an office in our home. We say we have a bedroom in our office because we spend our time working. You've got to, you can have the skills, but if you don't apply them, if you don't take the time, there's no free ride out there. There's no free lunch. And that's what I love about you, Kathleen. You really live your message. And by the way, if you're in WOAMTEC and you haven't taken your coaching, your free 1-hour coaching with Kathleen, you're a fool. Okay, I'm sorry. that you want to do that because this woman has incredible knowledge. She's built a couple of businesses very successfully. Don't miss out on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I didn't pay her to say that either. This is just awesome. No, you surround yourself by good people and you want to share it. You just want to share it because you know that I can offer them something and I know you can offer them something. So it's just a love fest going on right now. Thank you so much again for sharing. And part of the reason why I wanted to segue into that is because, busy people get more done and you do have to have freedom and flexibility. But one of the things I'm most excited about is you also have to learn how to have balance. You could be making your family a priority, but you might be at a baseball game answering an email. You can make your family a priority, but you might be multitasking. Let me stop and do dinner and do this and this and this and then go back, and check something later. But you really have to have drive and determination to grow your business to get to the point where you'll have a team of qualified people that will continue to be able to do the things you need to do. So then you can take a vacation and make that happen. We're going to take a short break. Don't go away though, because we've got 2 more amazing speakers that will be with us today. I'm so excited about the Confident Women Conference, and I'm even more excited about meeting each and every one of you. We are going to have women and a few good men from across the nation joining us at this conference. I know we already have people registered from North Carolina, from Georgia. We have people registered in, of course, in Florida. I think we've got some people coming over from Texas. Kiki girl, are you going to come out here? Tanya Lavoie, what about you? All of our Texas directors and some of their members, and just everywhere. Oh, Stacy Gillis is coming all the way down from Maryland. So I am so excited about this. We're going to have an amazing conference. We're going to have a wonderful program, and we've just got so many great things. The Confident Women Conference will feature 4 keynote speakers, 8 amazing breakout session speakers. It will feature just some fabulous women. We will have lunch. We will have a trade show. We will have a VIP networking night. The silent auction is going to support the WOAMTEC Foundation. The WOAMTEC Foundation is an organization that we started because of my passion and heart for working with children in foster care, and we're going to come together to make a difference in their lives. We're going to come together to help the children that are aging out of foster care, that don't have someone to lean on, that don't have somebody else to talk to. We're going to come together to help make a difference in their life by working with them, to mentor them, to support them, to give them a place to spend Christmas. And we would support or appreciate any support you can give us. If you have an item or a service that you would like to donate to the silent auction, then please send it our way. It is a 501c3, so it's totally tax deductible. And if you just like to shop and want to get a few really good deals, I can tell you we have Universal Studios tickets, we've got Legoland tickets, we've got some gorgeous gift baskets, some amazing jewelry, just so many great things already that we've collected, and it's still a couple months away, or at least 6 weeks away, so we still got some time to go. Before we move on to our next speaker, I do want to give a shout out to a couple people that are online. Diane Thompson, thank you so much. Tina Delgado, Barbara Kane, woo, all the way from Indiana, thanks for tuning in today. Nancy and Sylvia McFadden and Gina Mounts, Nancy Abramson, sorry, and Gina Mounts, who is coming down to the conference. She's already registered, so that's awesome. So thank you for those of you that have tuned in. And if you're online but haven't tuned in, you can chat with Tanya on the WOAMTEC Facebook page. So please let us know that you're there, that you're watching, because we've got some amazing prizes coming up for each and every one of you. So right now what I'd like to do is turn it over and introduce Ta-Tanisha. Ta-Tanisha is a wonderful woman. Ta-Tanisha Jordan is, she's going to talk to us a little bit about life-work balance. How do you do what Dawn says and work 27? I think she gave us 4 hours to not work 27, but actually take the time to keep our life in balance and not lose our mind or lose control, and keep our faith first, our family second, and our career third. So thank you so much for being here today. Tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, hi everybody, all the way from the Chicagoland area. I'm Ta-Tanisha Jordan. My company is Make Your Mark Life Coaching, and I specialize in strength-based coaching. So we live in a very deficit-based society, and I like to get people focused on their strengths and how through your strengths you can actually have greater access to those things you call your weakness.
Okay, I love that. Well, tell us how WOAMTEC Chicago is doing right now for us. How's the chapter going? How's the weather working? Give a shout out to your director. So tell us a little bit about your chapter.
How's the weather working? That's a sore spot with you in Florida. We had snow today. Hallelujah. But you know what? We still had, we're a very new chapter, and we had, I believe, about 15 women there strong today. So shout out to Christina Frizel. Thank you so much for introducing me to this chapter. Thank you for bringing WOAMTEC to the Chicagoland area. And I am believing that we are growing strong and steady, so we can have a boatload of women to cart down to the conference for the next Confident Women Conference. So very excited about getting plugged in.
That's awesome. Well, we're glad to have you there, and I do appreciate your director for believing our vision, but doing what Dawn talked about. You know, it has to be, in order for us to truly make a difference in the lives of people in communities all across the nation, all across the world, is we really have to find people that will believe in our vision enough, but be able to reproduce it and make it happen in different portions across the nation. So she's doing a great job, and I believe what you believe. If she can have 15 people at a meeting with bad weather, I know you guys are going to soar during the summer, so we're anxious to see that happen. That's exciting. Now, I want to talk just a little bit, when we talk about balance, explain what your concept of balance actually is.
Okay, a lot of people have a concept of balance, which is like spinning plates on a thin stick, and they're thinking about, keeping their family going and church activities, and they've got, work, or they've got their business, they've got my friends, oh my gosh, a little social life, and they're thinking about keeping all those things spinning. And it can be as frazzled and harried as I just looked doing that right there. I was introduced to a concept of work-life balance that was based on studies of Nik Wallenda, who is the famous tightrope walker who I believe just went across the Grand Canyon recently.
I saw that.
From the famous flying Wallendas. So when they studied him and talked to him about balance, we learned some really cool things. One of those things is that when he is in the air, the longest that he actually keeps balance is about 30 seconds at a time. Isn't that something? Just 30 seconds at a time. So we can add to our understanding of balance that balance is something that you have to constantly reassess, that you are always sort of checking in and keeping yourself in balance. So thinking that you're going to stay balanced for a long period of time is not correct. And how great is that for Nik Wallenda to know that, so that he's not freaking up out there knowing, hey, I'm only balanced 30 seconds at a time. He's not expecting anything else. And I think right there is a great way for people to stay more in balance, because they could stop freaking out all the time, is a good way.
Absolutely. It's funny because I talked to somebody just the other day, and they did feel like they were freaking out. And it was kind of like Dawn mentioned the squirrel thing from that movie, but it was kind of like they were doing this and they were doing this and they were doing this, and it was like they were trying to stay so busy that they thought being that busy would bring them control. But in reality, they weren't succeeding at much of what they were doing. They weren't in shape weight-wise. They weren't sleeping correct. There were all these other things that were out of whack that I can only imagine meant they probably weren't the most productive mother that they could be, and may not be giving their children everything that they need and everything that they can be. So what areas of our lives do you recommend that we look at in order to see if we're in balance and to make sure we're in check?
Okay, well, my heart goes out to that person you were talking to, and I definitely want to mention that we really need to look at a kind of hidden area. I call it dreams. A silent dream killer is guilt. Guilt actually can keep women from taking care of themselves physically, because they are thinking about, oh, this is time away from my children, this is greater time away from my family. But just as you mentioned, if our bodies aren't working the way we need to, if we are not, a lot of times if we're not exercising or eating properly, we're also not sleeping well, and we think we're crabby because we didn't have enough coffee, that's not the reason. So we really need to take a look at those guilt areas, because it stops a lot of people in their goals, particularly women. So that's one area I caution people about. I also really like to look at this whole balance issue in the arena of being flexible, of being able to live in the moment and accept our lives where they are at right now, and our goals as to where we're going to them. Sort of attitudes of balance that I want to encourage are living in the moment, flexibility, and when we are teachable, we can believe that we are in the right place at the right time at every moment, because at every moment we can learn from where we are. So that thing of being teachable is really a key for being in the right place at the right time. But when we are willing to take every experience as a teaching moment, as something we're learning from, we can believe we're in the right place at the right time. It's so much an attitude and a shift in attitude and in perspective that can determine if we're living balanced lives.
I think that is so important, because I know you're exactly right. There's so many women that feel guilt on their shoulders because they're not the mom they thought they would be. They feel like they should be doing all these things. It's all these what ifs, what ifs, what ifs. And I don't even know if you know this, but WOAMTEC first started because I was feeling guilt. We had just adopted 3 children, and we didn't do it all at once. We did it every 6 months. We decided to take on another. So I went from being a mom or a wife with no children to a wife with 3 children. And you know what? I quickly figured out I wasn't going to be the PTA president that I thought I was going to be when I was growing up, because I had too much to juggle, and I had to let go of some of that guilt. And it wasn't until a day that one of my friends, who was in another networking group with me, a group that had rules, a group that had requirements, it wasn't until the day that she called in a state of panic because she had to pick up her sick son from school one day and drop him off at her father's office so she could make it to the networking group. And she said, please don't let them kick me out. It was in the beginning of the recession, and she said, I desperately need this group. I desperately need it to make my sales, to keep a roof over my head. And it was when I heard the guilt and the stress and the anxiety in her voice, I thought, you know what, we need to create an organization that's going to empower women, that's going to say, hey, if your son's sick, we're of course not going to kick you out. We're going to bring you chicken noodle soup if you want us to, because you really do need to surround yourself with people that will give you that kind of assistance and not knock you down in different ways. Well, I don't want to lose you, because we're going via Skype, and you never know with Skype and the connections if something can happen. So I just want to close with what are some other important characters of strength? Like, how do you find that strength? What do you look for in creating that strength to make sure you're as productive, as balanced, and as happy and healthy as you can be in life and in business?
I give my clients a free assessment, actually, that is accessible online. People can email me and find out about it, that will rank people in their 24 character strengths. And when we find out what we call signature strengths, things that kind of across the board you're strong in, things like the ability to love and be loved, gratitude, courage, curiosity, strengths like that. When you find out what you're strong in, you can really use that to your advantage. You can learn when you're overusing your strengths, because it's not just a strength, it's a tendency. So it's something that you tend to do all the time. You're trying to solve a problem that way. But curiosity, which is one of my #1 strengths, doesn't work all the time. I mean, you have to put a limit on that. But when you find out where your strengths work best, you can then learn how to support those strengths with things that you're not quite as good at. So if you imagine yourself holding a balancing pole, and your right arm are your signature strengths and your left hand are some things that maybe you're not quite as good at, you want to use those two things to kind of balance that pole back and forth. And that tends to be what keeps us in balance. Working on those lower ordered strengths, things you're not quite as good at, using your strengths where they're meant to be used.
That's
and
awesome.
It's a great way to stay in balance.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. Please tell all the other Chicagoland members to get on WOAMTEC Live and to take advantage of this opportunity. We are looking to book the rest of the year, so if anybody that's watching has something that's educational, motivational, inspirational that they can deliver to our members, it doesn't matter where you're at. You can do Skype just like Ta-Tanisha did, or you can come to the studio and do it here live in Orlando, Florida. We would welcome to hear from you. So shoot me over an email at info@WOAMTEC.com and let me know, hey, I have something to share. You know, the great thing about it is it's going to give you a video opportunity, a video segment of yourself, a professional video segment of yourself that you can Facebook, social media, put on your website, and just help spread the word to you. So this is a free WOAMTEC member benefit available to each and every one of you that have something important to say. So Ta-Tanisha, again, thank you so much. If you want to connect with her, you can find her information on the WOAMTEC member directory. So you go to WOAMTEC member directory and pull up her information and connect right with her and take advantage of that free assessment that she's willing to give you today. So I appreciate you. God bless. But now what we're going to do is we're going to move over to our final but very informative speakers today. And it's actually a husband and wife duo team that are here to talk to us about content marketing and how that will make or break the success of your business, when to know when it's time to delegate it, and how it might be holding you back. So Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you both for coming today. Tell everybody who you are and who you brought with you.
Hi, I am Elizabeth Bennett. I'm the co-founder of Victory Marketing with my amazing husband, Joe. Hi. And we're really excited to be here today. We're really excited. It's our first time on this side of the cameras. This is great.
Oh, yay. That's right, because you do marketing stuff for people a lot. Okay, tell us a little bit about what Victory Marketing is. What type of company are you? What do you do? And tell our audience, you know, who you are.
Well, we are a content marketing company, and we're just really excited about helping everyone be able to express what they are experts at and give them credibility and authority online.
Yeah, and we're entrepreneurs ourselves, small business owners. We've been married almost 12 years now. This weekend is our anniversary.
Yay, happy anniversary.
Yeah. So we understand the amount of work and the different types of hats that you have to wear when you're growing your business. And we just firmly believe that if you're going to be growing your business online, you're going to be doing some online marketing, that the number one way you can do that is through content marketing.
Okay, now let's stop this because we've got a lot of people that are watching online. They may be direct salespeople, they may be entrepreneurs, they may own large companies, so let's first define what content marketing is. Okay,
so content marketing, what that really boils down to is taking the information that's in your head as a business owner, taking the culture of your business, and creating some content, whether it be blog posts, press releases, maybe it's videos. There's all different kinds of content. We can kind of talk through that some more later. But it's getting the information and the culture that's in your heart and your head out into the internet so that people can connect with that before they ever meet you. So they get an experience with your company before they ever meet you in person.
Don Pici had mentioned the 1-hour business assessment that everybody gets as a member. And one of the things that I do when I'm doing that assessment is I Google them, I Bing them, I then see how easy it is to find them, see where they're at. Why is it important to be in all of these different places?
I would say it's about brand awareness. You've got to have so many different touch points. The average is somewhere between 11, 12 touch points with a potential customer before they're going to have that trust level elevated enough to be able to do business with you. So by doing, whether it's social media, email marketing, search engine optimization, all those different aspects, you're creating touch points. The best way to do that is through content marketing because content gives you the ammunition you need to hit all those touch points.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, Don talked about the 5 ways to fail at doing business. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here. And I didn't prepare them for these, so they have no idea what I'm about to say.
There's lots of ways to fail.
There's lots of ways to fail. Okay. What does it tell you when if I were to find out, somebody told me about a company, I have a company's name, I'm considering doing business with them, and I Google them and they don't come up. What does that tell you about their business?
Well, I believe one of the things with content marketing and marketing in general is all about first impressions. So when you go and you find out that they aren't there, well, you kind of question, okay, how credible is this company? Do they exist? Are they behind the times? Why aren't they on Google? You look them up and maybe they haven't blogged in a really long time, but they did maybe 1.5 years ago. Often I find myself thinking, okay, so are they still in business?
It's funny that you say that because I forgot about blogging. There was a period in WOAMTEC where I went a year without blogging.
We all do, absolutely.
It skipped my mind.
Yeah,
and I got an email from somebody saying, I noticed that you haven't posted a blog in a year. Is WOAMTEC still in business? And I was like,
it's the instant panic feeling oh yes, we're still here, absolutely. And so when those first impressions are so important, and creating an ongoing authority. I mean, everyone is wanting to know who is the expert in this field. So if you're researching photography, you want to know who's the best photographer. Yes, with photography, it's easy. You can just go to Jeff's website, of course, obviously. But because you can see a visible portfolio, and you can see if you connect with their style of photography. However, with other things that are more intangible, whether that's a product or a service or an idea, you have to really communicate, like Joe was saying. What's the culture you want to communicate? Because people want to connect with people, and they want to connect and buy into a culture before they buy or become a customer. So that's what content marketing is really all about.
I think that's important too, and you don't want to just be there, just throwing stuff out, because I think that's the other mistake that a lot of people make is they just say
valuable. Yeah,
they're not strategically thinking about what they're posting on Facebook or what they're doing on pinning on Pinterest or whatever, or what they're blogging about.
Absolutely.
I just recently had somebody that is in business that is wanting to get into doing speaking in business, and she was blogging about something that was really personal that would maybe appeal to a younger demographic, but that's not she was missing the boat in that. So what I have found is a couple of things. Some of the people that are online that are watching right now have smaller businesses. Really, it's their one-man shops, one-women shows, and they're smaller businesses. They may be sitting there saying, I can't do it all. I can't keep up with it all. Or they may be saying, I can't afford to hire somebody. Let's talk just for a moment on why somebody would hire your company, so we can analyze when is it time to delegate.
Absolutely.
And is it smart for you to be the one doing it all?
Yeah,
Joe, what do you think?
The thing with this business is that things move really quickly. So like in the last 6 months, we see changes happen to Facebook, to Google, the way that they calculate search engine rankings. So if this isn't the thing you do day in and day out, there's no way you're going to be able to keep up with those things. So we know when new things come out that can be advantageous to a business owner, that can help them be able to utilize those tools that are there to make their digital marketing efforts stronger. So that's one way that just hiring a team helps. The other one is it makes you stay more sane, because it's a lot of stuff. You know, if you think about the statistics, say that if you blog daily, so if you're giving some piece of information out daily, that you have a much higher chance of sales. But if you do like twice a day, for example, that's too much. It starts going down. So like you were saying before, some people don't know how much, how little. And so it's either that you start to educate yourself and you start to gain this knowledge and understanding, and you're willing to wear that hat for a time. Like I said, you know, we're entrepreneurs. We understand that there is a need for all these hats that people wear.
Lots of juggling, right?
But there comes a time where things get busy and you say, you know what, I just need to hand this off. So I think one of the ways that you can start to see that happening is when you're able to create a budget for marketing, which is a big deal. You know, you can say, okay, now I can section off this much to be able to grow my business. When you can do that, then you can work with somebody like us and say, here's how much I've got, what can I do?
Okay.
And then there are ways to work within that, because we want to be able to create a plan for you to be able to share that information within that budget, but you can work with someone to get those. We can get that culture from you and communicate for you. So you can work with the team. You know, you don't have to be scared to do that you're going to lose your voice.
Right.
So there does come a balance, but you can start to tell. I always like to think about hire when it hurts.
Yeah.
So when it starts hurting you to do that, whether it's losing time with your family or you start to freak out stress-wise, or
you're not getting it done. Like I reached out to you about the
Exactly,
conference because
yeah.
it's like we could use some assistance, and even though we're planning this big national conference, everything I normally do every other day of the year still has to happen.
It has to happen anyway. Absolutely.
So
Things
knowing
don't
when to
slow
do that.
down when you throw another pie in the pan. It just keeps going.
yeah.
So if they're like Gina Mounts, for example, she's a realtor in North Carolina. If she's online, she's probably sitting there saying, and Gina, I don't know, girlfriend, if you have a blog or not. Sorry if I should know that. But if she doesn't have a blog, she might be sitting here saying, why do I need a blog? What does a realtor need a blog for?
The why question is a big thing. A lot of this stuff can be complicated, and there are a lot of pieces to this, a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah.
So we like to boil it down to principles. So a principle, for example, is that the internet is really just a big ball of information. Okay, so the people that share the best information the most often are going to win. So that's a principle. So that's why. Like, why should you have a blog? Well, because the person who shares the most information, the best information, is going to win. Because that fits into Google's, and I just refer to Google because they're the market leader.
I know Tanya's probably cringing. Her husband works for Microsoft. She's like, Bing, say Bing.
You know, it goes across the board with Bing or Yahoo or anything else.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
They're in the business of connecting the information seekers with the information providers. So if you're sharing great information, they have all these different complicated ways, which we don't have enough time to cover, to pick up and see that. Facebook, all about sharing information.
Right.
It's information from your friends, but where are they grabbing that information from? Facebook's trying to identify who's sharing the best information.
Right.
So as a realtor, if that realtor is sharing great information about houses they're showing or what's it like the process to go through buying a house, valuable information. That's really the reason why, from a principle standpoint.
Right. You have to do some of these things. I think that's really critical and really important. And, you know, going back to are you doing revenue generating activities, or are you spending too much time behind Facebook with haphazardly posting without a lot of logic and without a strong marketing structure, where you could be selling a house? You know, it may make sense to delegate this marketing piece so you're out showing property, because you're going to make a whole lot more money showing property than you probably would be paying them to do these marketing pieces. And am I right by saying you have it's not just the two of you. Like you bring in independent contractors for
we have a full
certain
staff.
tasks. Okay, okay.
Yeah, we have a full staff, and it's both based here in Central Florida, but also we all across the country. We have an amazing team. Shout out to everybody, you're amazing. We couldn't do it without them. And because, like Joe was saying, how quickly and rapidly things are changing, we have part of our staff is focused on nerding out on the latest changes. So we have, just us, we can't do it all ourselves. We have to have a team of support to help us keep on the leading edge of what's happening, what's changing, because it's constant, it's constantly moving. And I wanted to touch on something else, because all of these things are simple. You can do them yourself, but the key is consistency, being very consistent, and starting out, like you were saying, you need to have a plan. You need to have your big picture. How does this fit into your vision? What is the culture that you want to identify and communicate, and how do you get there? And so and then coming back to, okay, I can blog once a week, or maybe I need to just get a strategy in place to just be very consistent with what you're doing.
I think that's awesome. And just start having that plan, and even maybe talking to you to create a dialogue on what that plan should look like one day, because if you don't know where you're going, there's no way to get there. So you might not be ready to hire them today, but if you can talk to them so you know what you're working towards, then you can start slowly and hopefully increase your revenue. So a year from now or 2 years from now, you'll be at the point where you can delegate it all, but don't wait. And also don't think that maybe your solution is hiring a marketing consultant, because part of the reason I asked you, do you have a team of independent contractors? Right. I took a guess at that, but I asked you that because somebody that's good at blogging might not be somebody good with Pinterest, or with search engine tags for YouTube or whatever, all of those different things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the way we work is that Elizabeth and I handle kind of like the client interaction, where we set direction, but then we kind of have this layered approach where we have people that are the content distributors, and when they have the content producers. So people will produce content, but before that goes out, we've got somebody that is well trained, that we've poured a lot of time into, to make sure that that content that's going out from there is good, that there aren't spelling mistakes, that it's not going to be some a bad thing for your business. Right. So there are some of those great layers that are built into that is good to look for when you look for a marketing team, and that the reason why you need a team versus just one person, because it really is a team job.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
No one person can do it all. It's physically, scientifically impossible. I have yet to come across anyone in this industry who can say, hi, I am a content marketer, and I can do it all myself. I can Pinterest, and I can blog, and I can...
That is a red flag.
You can try, but it is a red flag, and they're probably not doing it well.
Absolutely, and I think it's very similar to what you were saying about the business coaches. Okay, so I'm going to charge you, and again, that's another red flag. If you're getting quotes that are astronomically expensive for you to market your business in a content-based way, that should be a very big red flag, because honestly, it is not an unattainably expensive thing. It can be we work within people's budgets, and that's a really big red flag. So you want to make sure that if you're having a conversation with somebody, that they're not saying, well, I'm an SEO person and I'm a social media person, but they can come at it from a holistic approach with what is the ammunition we want to work with that's going to be content.
I did want to hit another red flag that I think is helpful for people, is that there is no magic bullet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there is a magic bullet. If someone comes to you and says, Facebook's going to revolutionize your business, that's a red flag. Yeah, absolutely. Because there is no magic bullet. It takes thought, it takes time. You have to look through this stuff comprehensively. So, there are fads that happen. The latest thing is going to come out, whether that's Pinterest or Snapchat, whatever it is. But if we go back to that principle that I shared earlier of the sharing great information, so if you're sharing great information
consistently,
you're building your authority, then no matter what the fad is, you're going to be able to channel that authority through that fad.
Right.
That's what really content marketing is about. Yeah. Saying, I'm an authority, I'm an expert, get that out there. Now I can channel this through this tactic. And the tactics are the fads that come out.
I think that's awesome. And I want to have one more question, but I want to stop for just a minute and kind of segue to something you just said. I'm authoritative. I'm the authoritative figure. I'm an expert. I remember years ago when Jeff and I first got married, and I married into photography, I walked around a convention in Vegas, and I could see that the photographers just needed help. Like that, you could see it was old school mentality. They weren't marketing and business people. They were creative people. And I said, I'm going to publish a book, and it's going to be a marketing book geared towards photographers. photographers. And he looked at me like I was crazy. He was like, you don't know anything about photography. And it's like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
If you take the authoritative figure
Absolutely.
and you do that, and I did. We published 9 books and I traveled the country and, you know, taught a lot because I saw a need. 2 things I want to play off of that. If you believe you are an authoritative figure, you can make other people believe that too. But that's the catch-22 situation that you get into when hiring somebody that is, I'm not trashing business consultants or coaches or anybody that's in sales. If you are trying to make money and you're struggling with your business and somebody sells you this, you're going to be more likely to jump at it. But take the time to research them, to analyze it, and make yourself the authority figure, but analyze everybody else to prove that they actually are.
Absolutely.
You know, which is what's important.
Absolutely.
Now, when we first met, we told you about WOAMTEC Live, and one of the things that I said was it's sometimes hard to get guests on the show. Like it's amazing how hard it is. And you said something, Joe, that I want you to share with the audience. If somebody is watching today, why should they sign up for one of these segments, and how, when we give you that, not only that footage, and you can of course add 2, but I loved his response to that not only your footage, your individual clip, but the entire footage, how does positioning you with Dawn Pici help or change things in that big ball, that internet world?
Yeah, so I try to conceptualize this with a thought that I have about it, is that if you think about the internet in this big glob of stuff, and you
Very elegantly put.
Thank you. I practiced that one. And you think about in this stuff that, you know, there are all these points of light that you think about, you know, in the galaxy of stars or whatever. The more information that you're putting out, your star gets brighter. Okay, and the more people that are connected to your star, the brighter you get, the brighter they get. And so when you put a video out on YouTube, for example, you have created a valuable piece of content that sits on a site that's owned by Google. So they're going to give you some really good
Some brownie points.
You know, no one can prove that, of course, but you know, it's there. And then the fact that it's also related to, like you said, Dawn Pici. You know, so you have these connection dots between this information, and what that does is it starts to, again, build your credibility. So the fact that you guys are offering this is amazing, because it's what we call rich content.
Yes.
Because not anybody is just going to be able to produce a video and talk as an expert on things, and so that's a way that Google starts to analyze who's the authority and who's not. So the fact that this is happening is a good way to tell the search engines and other people in the internet world that you're an authority figure. So this is, I mean, yeah, it's a great opportunity, and I would encourage you guys, if you haven't done it yet,
Absolutely.
Get with Kathleen, get with Jeff, make it happen, because this is very valuable to your internet marketing efforts.
Absolutely.
And it's really not that hard, is it?
It's not that scary.
No.
It's scary.
It's not scary.
Thank you all for sharing and for being here, and I hope to have you back, because I know there's some other things that we want to talk about with branding and things like that.
Absolutely.
But I appreciate it very much, and I know that you are going to give away a prize. So the first person to contact, well, tell them about it.
Well, the first person who contacts us through our website, which is www.winwithvictory.com, will get a 2-hour one-on-one consultation. We can help walk you through getting that plan and that marketing strategy in place, and just give you some tips and encouragement, and just, we'd love to partner with you, even if it's just for 2 hours. And so we can do it virtually. We can do a Skype. Whatever it looks like for you would be convenient. And go ahead and just contact us. We'd love to hear from you. Our information, like I said, is on our website. So just the first person to contact us gets that 2 hours.
Well, Gina Mounts already said she wanted a blog, or she needs a blog. So Gina, get on it, girlfriend. Do it now. You are also both going to be speaking at the Confident Woman Conference.
Yes,
So,
and
we're
we're
really excited
so
about that.
honored to be able to do that. We're
tell
really
us
excited.
what your topic is. Tell them why they should sign up for day 2.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we're going to go into further detail and further depth about
Absolutely.
this. Actually give you some very practical, hands-on, what you can do to build your
Yes.
authority, become that credible figure. Those practical tips are going to be key. So we're going to be expounding on some of those things.
That's
Consider
awesome.
this a teaser.
A teaser.
Yeah.
Yay! Well, thank you so much for coming out and teasing our audience. We are so excited to have you here, and it truly is about becoming an authoritative figure in your community, in the nation, worldwide. You know, I'll have to tell you a funny story about someone that tried to sell me advertising on the internet before the internet existed. That was kind of crazy. But anyways, I'm so excited to have you here. I look forward to seeing you at the Confident Woman Conference. We do have one more great WOAMTEC Live segment the first Wednesday in April, so tune in live, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you again for joining us. I wish you only the best. God bless.